Hi everyone, it is Sunday and it is also the day that this book came out in 2014, Finding Rebecca. And I just had to do this video because I want to show this interview again because it is such an amazing book. And for anyone who has not read it yet, you need to go read it, okay? It is 4 years old now, and in the meantime, Owen's career has just skyrocketed, okay? This book was published by Lake Union and he was teaching in Philly. And I don't think he's teaching anymore. I think he's writing. He got contracts. He's like writing full time now. And I am so incredibly happy for him because I feel like when I interviewed him, this was like episode 31. So this was over a year ago. And when I found this book and I interviewed him, I like kept saying over, I was like, this is a good book, Owen. You need to write full time. And now I think he is writing full time. So everyone watch my interview with him about the love story of Rebecca and Christopher during World War II. No one writes a love story the way Owen does in historical fiction. Like, he's just amazing. So everyone, here is my interview with Owen. Hi, everybody. Today I have with me best-selling author Owen Dempsey.
Oh, that's me. Oh, it is Owen. Yes, that is
That's
correct.
right. And Owen
Not
wrote
Owen
this.
or Ewan or Ian.
Ian, Owen.
It's Owen.
But you like Owen.
It's at the start there, yeah.
And he wrote
Reintroduced me.
this amazing book, Finding Rebecca.
Thank you very much.
It is. I cannot say, and I wish I could stand up and just bow down to this book. I am not even kidding. And I read.
You can do that if you want. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I read books all the time, and I started this book, and because I'm always reading and like always reading for ahead. I could not put. I was like, okay, I'll read a chapter of this, and then something else. I could not put this book down. Okay, I could not put it down. It is that good, and this story is amazing. And I love historical fiction, so it is right up my alley but it is one of the best historical fiction books, I have to say. And I'm a homeschooling mom, okay? And for all my homeschooling moms who are listening to this out there, if you are trying to teach your children about World War II, this should be on their list, this book should be on their list, because even I love teaching kids through historical fiction, and I don't know if you ever thought of that because your son is younger, but it is a great way to teach our children about history.
Well, I am a teacher, so.
Oh, you are a teacher, okay.
Yeah, but I don't teach history. I should have taught history in English, something like that. But I only became a teacher when I was in my early 30s, and I had a business degree, which was a very poor decision I made when I was 17 to go to college to study business, as anyone who knew me at the time would attest to. And I came out, I didn't want to give up. I'm not really the quitting type, I suppose. So I just went through it, and I got my degree, and then I wasted my time for a few years doing that kind of jobs. And I moved to the States when I was 31 with my wife, who's American. That's why I live here. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I wanted to become a teacher, and I had a choice. I could either be a business computers teacher with my degree, or I could go back and do 4 years of school, and that's no choice at all. So hence, I'm a computer teacher, and have been for 7 years now.
So that's what you do when you're not writing awesome books.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay, what I love, and then the part that I love about this book is that you are a man, and you're writing this love story. Okay, and it is like, I love the two of them together, and you had me going, because as the book goes on, it's like, are they going to be together? No, they're not going to. Yeah, they are. Okay, no. Like, they had so much working against them that I was convinced they would never figure out how to be together, and I loved.
I was convinced they weren't going to be together too.
Oh, really? Did you plan it, or did it kind of write itself, like as you were writing it? Both.
Yeah, the way I write, and I've heard this before, you hear all these things about writers take different ways, but I think you have the skeleton, and then it fleshes out as it goes. It goes in directions that you don't expect it to go, and the characters become more rounded characters. Hopefully, if you're making decent characters up, which I think is something I generally can do. If you're making well-rounded characters, they will show themselves to you, and maybe perhaps in ways that you hadn't envisaged at first. But that's part of the interesting part, If it was just getting from A to Z right straight through, it would be just typing, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
and as a woman, it's like every woman wants a Christian in her life,
Christopher,
like somebody that was going to do anything that they could, and literally, I mean, risked his life over and over and over again for her. And
yeah, she's got to be something else, right? She's got to be
I'm
something
trying to
else.
picture what she looks like, because you know.
Think Helen of Troy, I think something like that, you know.
Right. And I didn't know. So, what I loved about this is I know pretty much about World War II. I know pretty much. But this actually told a story that I did not know. I did not know about the island of Jersey.
Yeah.
I did not know that that the Germans had, I didn't know exactly what happened on that island. So, how did you come across that story in your,
All right.
research?
I'll tell you the story behind it, right?
Okay.
So there's a bit of a story behind the story.
Okay, great.
So I moved to this country in 2008. I've been living with my American wife, who's from Philadelphia, where I live now, in Ireland for the previous 4 years, right? We've known each other since we met many years ago. 20 years ago we met now, right? We met in 1997. So we've been living in Ireland since 2004, 2008, and she said, come on over to the States. We'll live with my parents for a few weeks. Then we'll move out and get jobs. I was like, I didn't want to go, but she dragged me over, kicking and screaming. And we moved into her parents' house. Now, don't get me wrong, her parents are lovely people, very kind, very obliging. But we stayed and ended up living there for 18 months because we moved over, and there was a little bit of unfortunate happening with the economy at the time. I don't remember. If you remember, September 2008 might not have been the best time to be looking for a job, particularly in the mortgage and banking industry.
Right, in the finance
which
industry.
I was working in at the time.
Right.
So I think if I lived to be about 150, I don't think I could actually find a worse time to move to America than at that stage. So we were unemployed for a long time. Now, I'd written before. I started writing my first book when I was like 21, maybe to impress girls or whatever, It works. It works sometimes. And I had written another couple of things, and I knew I would write again, and it was just right. I have time now, so let's start writing another book. And I did, and Finding Rebecca was the result of that. Now, how I came up with the idea for Jersey, you were asking? So every night in my in-laws' house, right, so they have their couch downstairs in the basement where they watch TV, and then, so the dad, great guy, lovely, really easygoing, cool guy, sits on the end reading his paper, doing his puzzles, and calf watching the TV. So then my wife would sit here near him, and then my mother-in-law, who's a lovely person again, would be sitting on the couch. And there wasn't really enough room for me unless I wanted to sit like this with my mother-in-law, which, I didn't want to. So I would sit on the end in my own little seat, and there was this little fold-up metal chair that I would sit on the end, because they had no more nice chairs. So I would get the crappy one. And I'd be sitting there in a metal chair, and then I'd have this desk, this rickety old desk in front of me, and I had my computer. And my best friend was a guy called Netflix. You may be familiar. He was my first and probably best American friend that I made.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I sat down, and I was watching I think the start of a documentary called Auschwitz Inside the Nazi State, which is still on Netflix. Yeah, I was watching. It's fun. They were literally watching like Wheel of Fortune, and I was watching Auschwitz Inside the Nazi State at the end of the table. But and there was a bit in it about Jersey, and I'd never really known much about Jersey apart from it's a nice place to go. It's a tax haven. It's a little island you go to in summer to go to the beach. And I saw there was something on there about a young girl in her early to mid 20s who was taken away from Jersey by the Nazis and sent over to a concentration camp. It wasn't Auschwitz actually, but it was. And she did survive the war, I remember. But anyway, so they had a picture of her, and it imagined her on the boat leaving Jersey, and the boat. So the camera was on the boat leaving the harbour of Jersey, and I was thinking, imagine if she was on the boat, and imagine if there was a guy left there who was like, oh my God, my girl's been taken away. What would he do to get her back? And that's where the idea of Finding Rebecca came from initially.
Wow.
So, and then it all springs from there.
That's awesome. I read a lot of books. Okay, a lot of books. I can't even tell you how many a week. But when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, now this is a writer. like I read every word you wrote. Like, a lot of times I'm trying to read, to see if I want to interview an author, and I'll just, skim through a book. I read every paragraph, every sentence, and that's how I knew. I was like, wow, he can write. Like, the story just, it got me right from the beginning. And what I love, and we'll show everybody this. First of all, for those of us who don't know the ranks in Germany,
Yeah, I wrote that out myself actually.
That was very helpful. Once he got to the concentration camp and was, and I kept referring back to this to find out if, what rank these people were, because I did not know. But then you also put on here exactly where Jersey is, which was also very helpful because I had no idea. So I really enjoyed that part.
Most people don't. That's obviously where New Jersey is. That's old Jersey. New Jersey is New Jersey.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking. And I called the guy Christian, and his name is Christopher. But okay, this is what I love that you did. So right from the beginning, you're figuring out that they're going to be the love interest, and her name's Rebecca. She's Jewish. Mm-hmm. You picked a very Jewish name for her, and then Christopher is very not Jewish, and it was to me, that's what I always look for when I read books, is like different things like that just draw me into the story of, and I was like, he did that on purpose, right? You did that. I mean,
very much, yeah, very much,
yeah. So, and just the way that they're, like I said, the way that because you're writing it from his perspective, right?
I showed the whole book, yeah.
Yeah, and so, did you find yourself, like, is there a lot of you in him?
I wish. He's completely great.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's so brave. I can't believe it. Is there a lot of me in him? I don't know. Maybe for a moral sense, I'd like to think of myself as a very upstanding moral person, but apart from that, I'm not as brave as he is. Man alive, I wouldn't be doing that stuff.
He would have done anything, and that's what I loved about it. It was like when he made that decision, and it kind of jumped to, oh my gosh, he is working at that concentration camp just to be able to save her life, and what he had to do to convince them that he believed in what they were doing, but then what he was able to do. I was telling my daughter about it actually, and I was like, it was so cute. And then he saved children, and then he did that, and she's like, "Is this a real guy?" I'm like, "No, it's not a real guy."
There were stories though. There's similarities in stories of things that happened. Actually, I did a lot of historical research, as you can probably tell.
You did.
I think the more you do, I think. If it's worth doing 2 hours of historical research to get one line, it just makes it all more authentic,
Yes.
And there was a guy I based Christopher's position in Canada, in Auschwitz, on, obviously an accountant, and his name was Oscar Groening. Same spelling as the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening. But he was, so I saw an interview with him in that same documentary, and I looked him up, and there's a lot of stuff online about him, and he said I was there, and he challenged Holocaust deniers a lot. And actually, he was arrested about 2 or 3 years ago after Finding Rebecca came out. He was arrested, and he was put on trial for his part in running Auschwitz. Now, his argument was like, I never killed anyone. I was there as an accountant, and I don't deny it. And I was there. I actually can't really remember what happened to him. I should look it up. But I did know what happened to him, but I can't forget. But yeah, he was on trial actually since. Oscar Groening, yeah.
Interesting. That's what I was wondering when I was reading it. I was like, do you think that there were people like him there?
Who worked in camps? Oh yeah. It was a whole community there. One thing I was initially going to touch upon in the camps, I thought this was very interesting, was there was things in the camps, like there was a fire brigade in the camps. There were very likely prostitutes who worked in the camp, a brothel for the guard. Again, it's mentioned that there was movie theaters for the guards. There was like plays that were put on. It was like a small town. Several thousand guards went through there, and obviously over 1 million inmates were murdered there. But as well, like Auschwitz was divided into three. So there was Auschwitz one, which was the original camp, which was set up in the late 30s, early 40s, which had previously been a Polish army camp. It's all coming back to me now. And then Auschwitz two was the death camp. That was Birkenau, where my book is set, which is just for murdering people. And people were housed there, but more for temporary labour to be murdered. And then Auschwitz 3 was a labour camp, massive labour camp, where a lot of companies set up, where companies like Krupp, you know, they make kettles and metal goods and stuff, they were in Auschwitz 3. There's a lot of German companies to this day who used slave Holocaust labour who are still hanging around. So...
But I mean, do you think that there were guards? Well, he wasn't a guard, but there were workers like him who they had to pretend. Like, do you think that it really did disgust them, and they didn't want? You know, like he was so self-aware, like he didn't buy into it, but you know, some of them were forced. Obviously, I mean,
yeah, I think 98% of them were just going along with it and saying, "I'm getting my wage and keep my head down here and doing what I'm doing." The SS did specifically get people who were like crazy killers. That they got them in to do these jobs, so that they were specifically enrolled in that. Were there people like him? It's impossible to say. I hope so. There was a doctor I know in Auschwitz he was put on trial afterwards, and he was the only person in the Nuremberg trials afterwards who was found not guilty. And he was, have you heard of Dr. Mengele, who was an Auschwitz doctor? He actually was one of the few Nazis who actually got away. But he was an assistant to Dr. Mengele, and he specifically, so when he was meant to be like injecting twins and stuff and doing all these various experiments, he would literally put water in the to inject them with in the syringe. So he pretended he was doing these horrible experiments where in fact he wasn't. So he was doing it specifically to protect the actual patients or the inmates that he was meant to be experimenting on. So I suppose there are cases of that, you know. But I kind of stick them all together, you know. Christopher is meant to be an outsider, so we're meant to be able to see the camp through his eyes. And Christopher, it would be impossible to write a story like this from someone who was seeing the camp as okay, and I'm just trying to get this girl out. Because you would hate him, and why wouldn't you? Because he's utterly reprehensible. So as a main character, we have to be able to root for him, don't we? So he had to be an outsider like us, looking in on it like we were. That was his role.
Right. And I love how that, okay, so when he thought that he had lost Rebecca, when he was told that she died and he gave up, you know, trying to find her, and then his dad was like, well, you got to find something, you know, so it was like he was there and he just had to find something that he had to do, you know, because he was like, I'm not going to just be here and not be able to help in some way, and, you know, and especially for what his job was. And that's what I was thinking about. I was like, do you think there were some there that had some compassion, that they were, you know, more than one, like, hopefully. But, you know, okay, well, what you brought up in the one part was that the men running the gas chambers, they circulated because they couldn't handle, didn't they circulate like every couple of weeks or something because they actually couldn't handle doing it, or they
are you talking about the SS guards?
Yeah,
or the
people, whoever turned the gas on, or I don't know,
yeah.
You described at one point that there were these I don't know that they're guards, whatever, workers at the gas chambers, but that they would circulate them because that they couldn't take it doing it at all. You know, like
well, Michelle, this is what you get. I'm talking about a book you wrote 5 years ago. Remember that?
Well, it wasn't published 5 years ago, but, you know.
No, it wasn't. No, but these things take a while.
Well, anyway, you did mention that, and I was like, well, maybe, you know, so it gave them a little bit, like, then you're thinking, okay, so it wasn't cool with them to be running, you know, killing how many people a day, you know, and lying to these people and telling them they were going to give them baths and showers and, you know.
Yeah. That was one thing I found interesting that I put into the book, which you don't see in movies and stuff. You just see them, you know, hurling, get in there, and, you know, but it was actually the power of lies. That's what the Nazis used, and I'll just go in, you're going to have a shower, and then afterwards you're going to get a meal, and then you're going to be working, and we're all together. Why would we kill you? That's ridiculous. And that's what they did, and that's how the people walked in. They didn't, like, they weren't pushed in, like, at the end of a gun. They walked in.
Right, because
So,
that's what they believed, that they were just, well. And how about the one at the end, the one train that the Jews paid for? They thought they were going to Switzerland.
that's a true story, actually.
Yeah, like they actually paid to get on the train that they were told that was an escape, and they end up at Auschwitz.
Yeah, that actually happened. Yeah, yeah.
And
Most of the stories in there, the little things, are adaptations of eyewitness accounts. So I read a couple of eyewitness books and just changed things around here and there, and put this bit here, put that bit there, and just wanted to remain as accurate as I could in that way.
right.
So pretty strict with myself, using only eyewitness books, nothing actually fiction or anything like that.
Well,
and I think,
yeah, let me just tell you. I mean, you can write, okay? you are a fantastic writer, and even
I'm
just reading
trying,
parts of the books,
I'm trying to get my prose better. I'm in the middle of selling a book at the moment. I got an offer there on Thursday for a new novel, and I think the prose is a fair bit better personally in this book than it is in Finding Rebecca.
What is the book called?
It's called White Rose, Black Forest.
So that's what we get to look forward to.
Black Forest is in Black Forest in Southwest Germany.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So okay, when you were writing this, you got a publisher. A lot of people do self-publish. Did you look for this publisher? Like, did you have to sell it to them, and they are the ones that?
It was a bit of an unusual thing. I started writing and looking for publishers in about 1999 or so, and I got, for various books I had about, the usual story, about 150. I used to keep my rejections and pin them to the wall, actually, and then that just got depressing. Because the thumbtack wasn't strong enough to hold up all the paper. Like falling down. I was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So, I got hundreds of rejections.
Wow.
And just kept on at it. And then when I first published Finding Rebecca, I did self-publish it back in November 2012. And then it took a little while. Actually, it didn't take a while. It took about 6 weeks to get going. And then I worked really hard. I was obsessed by marketing. Obsessed. Still am a little bit. Although I put Fox Eyed Boys in paperback, so I'm obviously not that obsessed anymore. But there goes that argument. But it started doing well, and I got into like the top 10 overall on Amazon. I did one of those promotions, and I got to number 8. So like X thousand books and all this, and did really well. And then I found an agent. So then I worked with my agent, and we got it together, and we brushed it up, and it became better and better, and and then we sent it off to all the big 5 publishers, like, the Hodders and all them, and the Hachats and the Simon & Schusters of this world, and they didn't want it, and I was disappointed, obviously. So that was from about December 2013 until about April 2014, and then I got an email myself from Amazon Publishing, from their acquisitions editor there, who I just met actually on Friday for the first time. I had a lovely lunch with her in downtown Philly. We had a great time together. A very charming woman by the name of Jodie Warshaw. She emailed me and said she read Finding Rebecca and she loved it, and it just went from there. It was really easy from there. They just wanted it, and they published it for me, and it came out in October 2014, and it's been very consistent for me ever since.
Did they publish Bogside Boys also?
No, they didn't want it. I showed Bogside Boys and they didn't want it. It didn't fit in with their, the type of books that they published with.
Actually, okay, so I didn't really know that they could do that. I thought once they had you as an author, that no matter what you did, basically, that they could actually reject.
It depends on your contract. Like, it's certain contracts, you'd like sign a 3-book deal or whatever. And if I had, they would have worked with that and polished it to get it the way they wanted it. But with these guys, it's kind of on a book-by-book basis. Like, even with my book that I'm just in the process of selling to them, and I got an offer on Thursday. I just have to through the final paperwork now. It is on a book by book basis. It's not like, oh, listen, this is 5 book deal. We want the next 4 books after this or whatever. It's just, okay, we'll take this one and it's going to come out next year. Then we'll see what you have for us. But
Interesting, because it's so much like, I mean, since it is historical fiction again, I would think that would be, it would be, it's not like it's a completely different.
I think for them it was a bit too much set in the time and place.
Mm.
And the time and place obviously being the 1970s and 80s in Derry in Northern Ireland. I can see now why they didn't want to publish it myself, and to be honest, I have no problem with that. I wrote. They asked me did I want to change it to suit them, and I was like, no. Written the book that I want to write, and that's it. So
And
that's it.
that's all you can. I mean, okay, so the fact that even for this book to be, like you put it out there and then people start, then they're like, oh, so I guess it helps like to get it out there. Then you get a publishing company, and then what is the benefit like for you to the difference? Because I hear both sides. Like there are a lot of people that are like, I'm only going to sell money. I mean, do they really? But does it help? I mean, it did. It helped your sales.
If the book's going to sell really well on its own as a self-published book, okay, great. And you do hear stories about that. Mainly, you need volume for that. The most successful self-published writers generally have like 10, 12 or 12 books out there. So they just keep on chugging away. With the publisher it's just got a much farther reach. They can promote you in a much more effective manner. And
can people find this book at Barnes and Noble?
No, they can't. No. I'm published by Lake Union, who are part of Amazon Publishing. They've got the best business model ever. So they operate within the world's largest bookshop and promote themselves and put them up front in the world's largest bookshop, and they don't need the other costs associated with selling it to Barnes and Noble.
You know what? I heard a little secret. I was interviewing somebody. She was a publisher. Okay, so it was kind of interesting because I got to have her take on what the publishing business can do for people. And she was like, Barnes and Noble is history in the next 5 years, because she dealt with them all the time, and supposedly they're very not easy to deal with because they have their own. They have a like she said that she would sell books to them, and then like 2 weeks later they'd toss them right back. They have this like humongous, like if it doesn't sell within 2 weeks, they send them right back. And so she was like very anti Barnes and Noble. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was interesting to hear her take on. I mean, because she was a publisher and she had to do, that work for her clients, and that's what she does. She actually only publishes women authors, which was kind of interesting. But anyway,
I wonder if I put on a wig and said like my book.
Yeah, really. If you did what J.K. Rowling did and just put initials and be like it's a woman, But
yeah.
Anyway, it was just a really interesting take because she does believe that Amazon is, that their publishing is the top notch way to go, and so she has a lot of success with them. And
they certainly believe themselves that they are the future. They're very convinced by their own rhetoric in that manner. Hey, I've had very pleasant experiences there. I have to say they're lovely people and they're really good to work with. They're very.
Well, that's good to hear. I like getting everybody's take on it because I think it helps also new authors who are out there know what. That's which I'm really interested in helping is people who are out there writing their first book and wanting to know what to do. But which is another question: how long did it take you to write this?
Oh, I've been asked that question so many times, and the answer is I don't really know. It depends. It depends what you mean by having written it.
Well, do you look at a book a year, or do you look at how do you when you're planning your books, do you look at if I can write it in a year, then I've got a book a year.
And also, I'm at the stage now where I've been doing it for a while, and it's like doing anything. You just get better at it as you go along. And I have much less wasted time now. Okay, the best example I can give you of how I am now is obviously my last book. So I started that on February 26th last year, something like that, late February last year. It's almost a year ago. And I had the first draft finished I wanted to get it finished by the end of school break for summer, which is about June 10th. So it took me about 3.5 to 4 months to finish the first draft. Then it kind of sits around for a while. They hand it to your agent. It comes back. The editing process. There's a lot less work in that, but it's a lot more time, because the great thing about the first draft for me as a writer is I know I'm going to go along to the library this Sunday and I'm going to be there for 4 hours and I'm going to get 2,500 words done, and I will, and I always do. And then I'm going to go on Tuesday and I'm going to get 1,000 words done, and I always do. And I'm going to go on Thursday and I'll get 1,000 words done. I always do. So I know I can just write the book, and it's completely under my control. But then you start giving it to other people. That's when, I'm going to give it to this editor and he's going to take like 6 weeks, and then 3 weeks later, I couldn't get to it. I'll get to it in 2 weeks' time, and then it's so it takes a while. So then, again, cutting a long, boring story short, hopefully not too boring, we sent it to my publisher on December 21st. So getting it from starting the novel on late February to sending it to the publisher on December 21st. So then the publisher has to get it, the editor has to read it, and they made an offer on it on Thursday. So that was what? February the 9th or something?
So it's like a year.
Yeah. And then it'll be another year before it's published. Like, they gave me a publishing date of January 23rd, 2018.
Okay, so they say they want to publish it, and then it takes them a whole another year to get it out.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Even if you're going on Kindle Unlimited, what about if they put it out on Kindle Unlimited?
Well, yeah, they could do that, but no, they're not going to do that. It's just a matter of.
You are so funny.
They put based on the docket, It's just like they only have X amount of books they're going to put out in any 1 year. And she was telling me that they're actually already over by one for 2017. So
it's just baffling to me. I'm just like, That's...
Yeah, they have all these marketing schemes and all this. They have all these marketing plans, and they are very precise about this. Like, Amazon don't mess around, as you know, and they are going to take over the world, and I'm going to be one of them. I'm in the inside.
So is your goal to be able to quit your day job and do this full time?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it seems to me, if it's going to take that long, like, you need to be writing way more. Like, you need to...
Yeah, I'm going to start my new book in about 3 weeks. And I'm going to start my next book, yeah.
Right.
And if I can start a new book, and this time next year, be at this stage again, and then this time next year, then I should be good. I like teaching, it's good, but I absolutely adore, I love writing. Love it. I do enjoy teaching, but it's not writing for me. It's great.
Really?
At about 9 in the morning, too, so that'd be awesome.
Do you? What grades do you teach? Are you a high school teacher?
K through 8.
Okay.
So today I had started off with 6th grade. They're 12, and then I had kindergarten, who were 5, and then I had 1st grade, and then I had 2nd grade, they're 7, and then I had 1st grade, who were 6.
Nice.
That was my day.
Nice. Well, I mean, I hope you can write full time, because I'd like to see you get more books out there, and
So would I. We have that common, then definitely we do.
We have that common. That's right. Well, I can't wait to talk to you about Bogside Boys, and I'm so happy that you have another one also in the works.
Good, yeah.
Okay, so now that you found out that one's published, like, where's your head now? Like, the next one?
I'm thinking about, I have a couple of ideas. I came up with an idea in like a day last week, and I really like it. It's my son. I was thinking about writing, Hi, Robbie. I was thinking about writing a book about the gold rush in Klondike in the late 1800s. The biggest gold rush in the 19th century was between about 1896 and 1899 in the Yukon in Canada, and I want to write something around that. I really like that idea.
That's awesome. I'm so happy about that. Well, I guess we can.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we can. Is he going to be on camera? Okay. Oh, hi. Hi there.
Robbie.
You are on camera.
That's Michelle. She thinks I'm a great writer, Robbie. She's a fantastic writer. Nice to have fans. Like, you're my fan, but for different reasons.
Aw, he's so adorable. Well,
okay,
thank you so much.
Start clicking the screen now.
Thank you so much, and I will be in touch with you to do the
Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, no, it was a real pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun, and everybody here again is Finding Rebecca. First of all, I love it. Did you pick this out, or did your publisher?
The cover?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're the author, the great thing about being the author is you're boss at all times. So you're the boss of your own little corporation. So they got a really good cover designer for me. And it's quite expensive to make that up. But he wants to be here. He's
That's
crying.
okay. We'll let you go, but it's a
No, 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 it's
beautiful.
fine. It's fine. You can deal with it.
I mean, that's a
And
beautiful cover. Look at that.
he so they give you various covers to choose from, and I liked that one the best. I picked that one out, but then some of the pictures on it were wrong and blah blah blah. So I had to say change that picture, blah blah blah. I want this color. So you get to choose most of it yourself.
Oh, it's awesome. It's great. So
And I wrote the blurb on the back, and the
you got
picture
to do
me in there is from me, and picture
yeah.
me back where I look
Oh,
like
yeah.
I had no chin. I'm like this.
It's a beautiful book. So they did a great job. Awesome.
Yeah, I was happy with it. Yeah, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one coming out next year, which is also World War II, set in Germany during the war itself.
Oh, that should be awesome.
Which I'm very confident that's better than Funny About It. Very confident.
Well, work on the Bogside Boys cover, getting it in print.
Yeah, you should do that. Yeah.
Work on getting that in print, but in the meantime, because sometimes if somebody has it on Kindle, they're like, "Oh no, I have the printed right here," like they have, but you're like, "No, I don't even have one."
I should definitely. I'll get that done. Yeah, I should get that done. The thing is, it's only taking half an hour. I just haven't got. So.
Oh, that's a
Thing. It's just like I just have to upload it and blah blah blah. I just didn't have all the stuff with me. But
yeah,
I'll get to it.
Okay, awesome.
Michelle, this is you. When you see it in print, you'll go, "That was me. I made him do that."
That's right. That's right. Well, you have a great night, and we will be in touch. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Owen.
Great talking.
It was great. It was great fun. Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Okay. Bye. For watching this interview. You know what? I had a hard time watching it because I was so new at this and I cringe at how I looked and everything, but it's okay. It'll be okay. I just wanted you to watch Owen, not me. All right. So I am going to have the Amazon link listed below here, and happy book anniversary, Owen. I am so incredibly happy for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please hit like. And if you want to see my videos every day, please subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.